Hi, it's Rob here from Gym 10. I hope you're well. Welcome to this restorative training class. Restorative stretch, all about runner stretches today. So if you're taking part in an event that involves running, that could be football, sports, or perhaps even doing a marathon, then please take part in this stretching. I would suggest at least 3 or 4 times a week, especially if you're marathon training, you're probably training certainly at least 4 or 5 times, perhaps a week as well. So this is great for you. I'd also highly recommend that you take part in a regular version of legs, bums and tums, if that's what you're doing as well, to strengthen and power up those muscles, certainly using different rotational forces to help you with your movement. And that's where stretching and flexibility will really help you further. Grab yourself a pint of water, cheers. Hydrate well. Okay, close the doors, let people know you take part in a training session, put on your own music as well. And as always, please have a nice mat or a good carpet that you're working on. It's going to allow some movement of your feet. Please put all your equipment safely to the side and just check your hands are going to go into your light fittings. Okay, so from here, let's grab our mat. And from here, we're just going to stand with our feet fist gap apart. Now, the idea behind this restorative class is that we're going to try and calm the tempo right down. So restorative stretch is all about recovery. It's about trying to get the straight muscles back to being in floor. So we've got our feet are fist gap apart. You'll notice that I'm in bare feet, so please do the same as well, so you can feel the natural movement of your feet. Now the foot should lovely hinge forward, backwards and forwards. It's a lovely condyloid joint as well, so it's got little bits of movement. There are 28 bones in here, 33 articulating surfaces and joints that are working really hard to stabilize, to keep you standing. And it's one of the biggest areas that we neglect in our flexibility and our movement. So we need to spend some time on it. So we are solely working forward and back. I use that word solely as a pun because you should be able to feel the whole of the sole of your foot kind of coming down into contact with the floor each time. And as you're standing, you should also feel from your toes to your heels are flat to the floor once you're standing, and that the weight is evenly distributed between the toes and the heels. Just take a moment to stand on one foot with the other knee flexed up and you're on the ball of that foot. Okay, now see if you can come through the tip toe of that foot. And as you're in that position now, keep holding. The knee should still be tracking forward to the toe. Okay, so when it comes through from the knee, coming down to the second toe here, straight through to the neck of the femur here. Now that should be your movement here on that plantar flexion. If your knee does this, it means it rotates, bring it back. If it laterally rotates, bring it back. And we're slowly going to work on this right foot standing, and the left knee is going to track forward and back into plane. I want you to lift and come over that top of the big toe. I want you to bring your hands on top of your pelvis. I want you to keep your pelvis nice and square and flat. So you can see the T-shirt line of me here is staying pretty much parallel to the floor. And I'm keeping my pelvis still, and I'm allowing the hip to rotate inside the pelvis. This seems like a really stupidly simple exercise, but if you're doing it wrong, you're also running incorrectly and you're not using the muscle fibers correctly. And if you're not running because you're getting into pain, it's because this movement isn't correct either. Now, if this is all in plane and working correctly, this side of your hip should be on fire by now. This should really be feeling like it's engaging and working hard. And if it's not, there's something wrong, there's an imbalance. Yeah? It should be here. Structurally, we're in the right position here. Change leg, let's just see what happens. Give this little leg a good little shake up first. Again, chest lifted. The other thing as well is check that your toes are perfectly flat and in alignment here on the front. So I've just moved up to the front of the mat. So you can feel this movement here. Again, we're going to take that front leg up, and I'm balancing right on the tip of the foot. So here. So straight through, lift, and back down again. Now try and come through a bit more neutral and stuck quite posteriorly to it, anteriorly. So drive your pelvis forward, lift, flex forward, back and forth. If you struggle with a lot of hip problem, back problem from running, I guarantee you're struggling doing this. Does your big toe flex? Does it allow this rotation? Can you see that I'm coming down over the knuckle of the foot? Can you see the straight line from the neck of the femur through the knee, straight through to the second toe? Really, really important. And release. From there, you're going to work a standing knee lift, slowly back again. So the knee and the toe is still working here. Just try to pump some blood, nutrient into those muscle fibers, a little bit more than they would normally. 2 more here. 1 more. Change legs. Really good. Okay, so keeping the fist gap between the feet. Hinge, stick your bottom back, place your hands on top of your thighs. At this point, you should feel you get to a point where your tiptoes want to come off the floor. Okay, so keep hinging your bottom back and away to a point where you get your tiptoes coming off the floor. Now you should feel a nice big stretch all the way through the back of the legs. This isn't about how far can you stretch and down. Just want you to feel that nice big deep stretch all the way through the back of the calves. Keep going. Now have a look down at your feet. Your big toe should be immediately rotated in. Your second toe should be nice and parallel to each other here. The gap between the feet and the knees is roughly the same. You should feel a nice stretch. Now I want you to purposefully raise the toes off the floor and feel this stretch. Now if you're doing a lot of marathon running at the moment, you're going to feel this is a sufficient stretch already. You might even be struggling, your hands might be on top of your thighs. If that's the case, you really do need to spend more time stretching, mobilizing, and investing in your sports massage. And the reason behind that is you're losing dexterity and you're also losing knee flexion, ankle flexion, and hip flexion. You're losing power and you're losing drive. Keep that pressure through. Now, you're going to keep yourself in the same stretch position, but this time you're going to force your toes down to the ground. And you might feel a bit of a strange sensation here, a bit of a release through the front of the shins, and maybe over the bridge of the foot. You might feel nothing at all. Change your hand position, see if you can stretch a little bit further through it. Really concentrate on driving big toe to little toe down to the floor. Still holding this nice deep stretch. You should be feeling it maybe through the back of the calves, certainly the back of the lower part of the hamstring, around the back of the knee. It's a great little stretch. The pressure is on the thighs, please, not on the knees. Maybe if you feel like you stretch a bit further, you can bring your hands down on your shins. But as you come down a little bit further, as your stretch changes, make sure that the weight is dispersed evenly between the big toe and the little toe, and the toes and the hips. It's not about changing the stance or the posture, about keeping that energy and that drive square through the foot back to the earth. Slowly release yourself out of this. You might need to walk your hands up your thighs and slowly release off the back. From here, you're going to circumduct your hips. So a nice big circle around and through. Lean back into the stretch as you're moving around. Roll through. Good one, well done. So from here, we're going to go down to a kneeling position. I'm just going to turn the mat through 45 degrees. We're going to drop down here. We're going to step forward into a lunge position. On our back foot, our knuckles of our foot are going to be down to the ground. We're going to step forward and press through into the lunge, move through into a sprinter start position. Now you should be able to get your fingers and thumbs down to the floor. If you struggle with that, you can bring your hands to the inside of the knee, or you can bring your hands to the other side as an official sprinter start. And the challenge here is to try and keep the back foot down to the ground. So the knuckles of the foot are down fully and you're feeling that extension. You should have a lovely big stretch through the front of the right hip flexor here. Now take the pressure off your fingertips by coming into a knuckle position here. And if you're struggling to reach this left hand over, maybe grab yourself something to go on the floor, like a bit of a plate or a timber or a weight that can come onto the side, just so you can even up your body. Because what I want you to try and avoid doing is timpering over to the right too much, because then your back foot, you're going to rotate through the outside of that thigh. So we're going to extend through and feel a nice big stretch here. Now in your back foot, I want you to feel your big toe to your little toe down to the ground. Now, what we're going to do is take our left foot forward and touch more. And if you're feeling too much pressure in your right knee, get a cushion or a pillow and stick it underneath. Feel a lovely big deep stretch all the way through the front of this thigh. Right thigh is feeling the stretch, my left foot is forward. And as much as I can feel the big toe to the little toe down flat to the floor here through the knuckles, from my big toe to my little toe, my front foot is flat down as well. Feel a lovely big deep stretch all the way through the front of the thighs. My hamstring is extending nicely through on the left leg. Here we're going to walk the front foot forward again. This changes the stretch through the hip flexors and the front of the quadriceps. And we've got the back toe and the back foot firmly down to the ground. Big toe, little toe down to the ground. We've got the extension all the way through the right thigh. Nice big deep stretch. And we're slowly going to release this out. We're going to walk our hands back. We're going to bring our left hand back over the left thigh. I'm going to slowly walk that foot back down. Now from here, you're going to come down to a child's pose position. So you're going to stick your knees out wide. I like to bring my feet together for this one. From here, we're going to stretch out along with the arms. Sticking our one back. Here, I want you to just rest your forehead down to the floor, close your eyes, take a slow deep breath in for 4. Slowly deep breath out for 8, 7, 6, 4, 2, and again, slow deep breath in for 4. Remember, we're trying to restore the body's natural flow of energy. We're trying to recover the body. Slow exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. From here, we're going to then come back out. If you use the platform on one side, you're going to bring this over to the side of your mat. You're going to take your right leg forward this time, and your left leg back into position. Again, the back foot, the knuckles are down to the ground. We're going to wiggle that right foot forward, and we're going to lean into it. This is where you might start to feel a bit of an imbalance. So from here, bring both hands on top of your thighs, or both forearms so you can rest onto it. I want you to feel that back foot, you can extend the knuckles out slightly further. Big toe to little toe flat down to the floor. And we've got a nice big stretch in front of our hip flexor here. From here, we're just going to bring our hands on our thighs. We're going to lift our chest up. We're going to slowly wiggle this front foot forward slightly further. From here, we're now going to come into that racing sprinter start position. And again, use the platform if you need it. And again, try and get the amount of pressure through the hands roughly the same. And again, feel from your big toe to your little toe on both the front and back foot firmly down to the ground. Again, feel from the toes to the heel down, the spacing of the webbing and the weight distribution the same as well. And a nice extension all the way through the back of the hamstrings. Again, as we feel comfortable with this, we take the front foot forward, a little step and a wiggle. And we're feeling that stretch all the way through the front of the leg, the hip flexors, the back of the hamstrings, and our body extending. Again, we can walk our hands forward a little bit into this exercise and feel a bit more of a depth of a stretch. Again, we can lead that front foot forward another stride. Again, feeling that hip flexor into position. And again, feel the big toe to little toe firmly down on the front foot and on the back foot as well. Again, trying to drop and flex through the back knee. Take the front foot forward another little step. You're really starting to walk that foot forward. And you might find the dexterity, the hamstring starting to interfere into this way. And if that's the case, I'd highly recommend you do some ragdoll stretches, some hamstring stretches, some hangs, maybe some calf stretches, 3, maybe some happy baby stretches as well. They would all really help. I'd also question how tight you are in your adductors, because that tends to be the other part of this one. Start looking at maybe some hip flex work, trying to work through some abduction, hip abduction work. Trying to look at how much range of movement you've got in there. Can you sit through a nice, strong position? Can you sit cross-legged? Do you find sitting cross-legged a difficulty? If you are, then you're going to be feeling this stretch up. From here, we're going to slowly drop out of the stretch again. We're going to move our platform out of the way. We're going to walk our hands back in. We're going to drop down into our knees. You can sit on the back of our heels, drop the knees out nice and wide. From there, we're going to walk down into child's pose again, dropping the forearms flat to the floor. Our forehead drop down to the ground. A nice big stretch all the way through the lower back. And extending the arms away from the body and from the stretch develop through the lower back. And your shoulders will start to release. And again, as you do this child's pose position, try and widen the knees slightly. And again, question, is the stretch happening where you think it's happening? Is this happening in the lower back, or maybe in the glutes? Or is this really starting to pull you tight in the adductors? And if it is, certainly recommend you getting some sports massage and some flexibility work, some PNF, plus some energy technique work to help you develop that flexibility. There, take a slow deep breath in for 4, and then slowly deep breath out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. slowly stepping yourself out of this stretch. Taking yourself into a kneeling position here. From there, slowly standing yourself back up. And release it off. Interlock your fingers, roll one way, roll back the other way. Just be careful you don't step on your platform. Make sure you leave that out of the way. And from there, relax. Well done. Please grab yourself a good drink of water. As always, with any flexibility stretch session, you should really hydrate and eat well after the training session. As always, if you did it live, give me as much information about the live as you did, or the replay, as much information there as well. Please let me know, and I will get back to you. As always, if I can help, get in contact. That's what I'm here for. That's why I love what I do. So please get in contact, and we'll go from there. Anyway, hydrate well. I'll see you next time for the next one. Well stretched. Well done. Enjoy your sport. Get running. Cheers.